Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is July 13th, and right now we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop here. It shows this system out over the Pacific Ocean. It's quite weak here, but it is there, and it's allowing this ridge to build over the region. We're going to warm up for a few days before this eventually decides to move into the region here. It brings a relative cool down. Then we'll take a look at the extended forecast. This looks like another ridge is going to build in after that system moves through here. We'll take a look at those model runs in a moment. We'll also take a look at the drought monitor here later on during the video, but right now, check out all this forest fire smoke being produced across British Columbia. A lot of out of control fires are burning there. Pretty sharp cutoff there across southern BC. Not affecting Vancouver for the most part, but there are some fires starting across some of the higher terrain here of British Columbia as well. And if you look out across the ocean, you can see that weak system out there spinning, which will eventually come into the Pacific Northwest, but not before we get a few warm days. You can see that marine layer already burning off of some of the coastal areas. Nothing to speak of across the Willamette Valley or the Puget Sound this morning here either. This is looking at the interactive map. All these red dots are out of control fires across BC, Alberta, Northwest Territories, and the Yukon here. So that's why all that smoke is being produced. Much of Canada under that smoke layer right now as we go in towards mid-July. This is the visitor center to Paradise. Nice blue sky, not dealing with any smoke right now, and thunderstorm activity should be very low here across the Cascades as we go through the day today. So nice day for a hike out there. Thunderstorm chances you can see well off into Northwest Washington, northern panhandle here, and the odds aren't even that high there, mostly up into BC and maybe some of the Alberta Rockies. This is looking at Seattle yesterday, 75 degrees, 2 degrees below average, no precipitation again. And as you can see, July is a pretty dry month here, only 0.6 of an inch of rain average. We have never hit that 1 inch barrier in a 24-hour period during the month of July. That is a record I would love to break. Here we go with last night's European run. There's that system out over the ocean here. And you'll clearly see this ridge build before that system starts to move in there. So a few warm days here coming up, then a relative cool down, and then another ridge potentially building in after that. And this trough, the location of that is going to make a big difference on just how much this ridge builds over the region. Here we are looking 144 hours out. This would be Tuesday night as that next ridge gets established. Here we're looking at the GFS. This is last night's run as well, and you can see the same system out over the Pacific Ocean there. It sits there for a bit. We build the ridge and we warm up, and then the system wants to march through here and chop down through that ridge, bring a trough, some strong onshore flow. Then we build another ridge in the wake of that, and this trough fairly deep here for this time of year across the Gulf of Alaska, and the location of that is going to mean all the difference. As you can see, this ridge building all the way up into the Northwest Territories here. A little bit of a cat and mouse game here. Are we going to be under some marine influence, or are we going to really warm up here across Pacific Northwest? Kind of yet to be seen, but the signal is there. We'll see how that trends here over the next few days. This is looking at the GFS. 6-hour precipitation, and you can see a little bit of precip associated with that. Some thunderstorm activity across the Rocky Mountains today and tomorrow. Not much for the Cascades of Washington, Oregon. And as we put this into motion, you can see as this system moves through, it just doesn't have much precipitation with it. Maybe a stray shower over the Cascades, but most of the activity across British Columbia, again, there's going to be thunderstorms again, so perhaps some more fire starts as that system kind of moves through. And then you can see the ridge now starting to build again as we have this low pressure system out here helping a ridge, an upper level ridge, to build across the region here. Not much precipitation coming on through the extended there. But if we look far enough out into fantasy land, you can see this system try to move down and bring some precip, maybe a little bit of precip coming here, but you're looking at well over 330 hours out. So this is just purely fantasy and just entertainment for now, but just something to kind of, maybe dream about here through the end of July. Getting precipitation at the end of July here in the Pacific Northwest, especially for Seattle, Portland, or Vancouver, BC, is a pretty tall task. This is looking at Seattle. You can see the next few days through Sunday, pretty warm. Then that system moves through and we cool down quite dramatically here. And then we potentially bounce back with the ridge after that system there. This is yesterday's European model run. This is precipitation here for Seattle. And this is all 50 ensemble members. Only a select few have some precipitation. Most of them just maybe a trace amount here as we go through the end of July. The mean just a scant 1/10 of an inch there by July 28th. So likely headed towards below average precipitation here for the month of July for a lot of the region. This is the GFS, a little bit more here. You see this got 30 ensemble runs, and a few of them have some precipitation being picked up here as we go through the 17th of the 18th. But again, we'll check that out as we go. No promises there. This is Pasco. Check it out. Getting up towards 105 by Sunday. Then that cool down, even affecting places east of the Cascades here. Then the bounce back. Look at some of these temperatures up to 100 degrees for a prolonged period here. So we'll watch that one as we go through the next couple of days. This is Portland. You can see the cool down coming after some very warm days. Like probably peaking here on Saturday for Portland. Maybe mid 90s coming up here. This is yesterday's European run here as well. This is the GFS for Seattle. Nice warm days through Sunday. Look at this. Potentially pushing 90 degrees at times for some portions of western Washington. Then the cool down, then the potential bounce back here as we go through the end of the following week. Now here's daily 2-meter max temperature. Now as we go through today, not a bad day out there. Maybe pushing 80 degrees for Seattle, nice and warm eastern Washington, upper 80s for the Willamette Valley. Look at BC, nice and warm as well. The smoke probably playing havoc with some of these high temperatures, however, during the day today. This would be for tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You can see some pretty warm days coming up here. Look at even some upper 90s possible for the Willamette Valley on Saturday. Portland, mid 90s here. And of course, California, Nevada, Arizona down there continue to bake and really turn up the heat this weekend. You guys probably have been hearing about some of that if you're watching social media. And here we go Sunday, one more warm day, and then we really chop things back down for Seattle as that trough starts to move through the area. Would really bring some onshore flow here and even cut down those temperatures across eastern Washington as well. There's Tuesday, another nice seasonable day, then the potential bounce back here as we go towards the end of the week. As you can see, Sunday, things warming up again here nicely across the region. But we'll worry about that here one day at a time. This is 6 to 10 day probability, temperature probability outlook, July 22nd. This runs through, and you can see kind of the average signal here as we go. This is kind of probably tempered by that trough a little bit here. So, aside from that, we may be above average on a lot of these days, but you can see the average temperatures here across the region for this time of year. This is 6 to 10 day precipitation. They kind of took away that above average signal here. You're not expecting much. And the bullseye across eastern Oregon, Idaho there continues 8 to 14 day all the way through July 26th. Below average signal here across much of the region. Now this is new. We got a new drought monitor input here. You can see that the North Cascades have now been included. North and Central Cascades, I should say as well. This is right, just including Snoqualmie Pass. Severe drought now in place here across a lot of the Cascades, including some of western Washington, Skagit, Whatcom County, and creeping out towards western portions of Snohomish County as well. Still just technically abnormally dry here in the Seattle metro, but that moderate drought has been included across much of western Washington as well. So not good news there as we continue to develop some drought here across the Pacific Northwest. This is vegetation drought response index here. I also got this data from the drought monitor, and you can kind of see that dry vegetation out here. So not good. Hopefully we're not going to be dealing with some late summer forest fire hijinks here across Pacific Northwest. This is short-term objective drought blend equivalent here. So this is something they look at here when they're monitoring those drought conditions. But you can see not doing well here across some of Oregon and Washington state here. So anyway, just interesting data there. This is where some of the fires are located across Washington and Oregon. But as you saw in the visible satellite, it's not producing a lot of smoke. It's not a widespread impact here across the region. But you can see where the McEwen fire was in Boulder, Devil's Butte here, and Alder Creek, and the Bard Springs fire out here in eastern Washington as well. But again, not producing big smoke this time of year, but that can change rapidly, especially if we get the right conditions as we go through the summer months here. This is total precipitation here. This goes through June 13th through July 12th there. And, the West Coast, this is our dry time of the year. So not much precipitation is expected this time of the year, but you can kind of see that highlighted there versus, say, places like eastern Colorado. And as you move out towards the plains where they're getting thunderstorm activity almost on a daily basis out there at times. But this is the anomaly here, June 13th through July 12th. And you can see we are below average here across a lot of the Washington and Oregon places here. And you can see the eastern slopes of Oregon where they don't get much precip, so these numbers can be skewed easily. But look at western Washington, Oregon, below average signal here coming up for the last month. And this is average temperature departure from average. Again, same time frame there. And you can see above average signal here for mainly western Washington, Oregon, a lot of eastern Washington as well. This would include British Columbia, a lot of areas. This is temperature departure from average just from July. And you can see the very warm July we've been experiencing here across a lot of western Washington, actually all of Washington, all of Oregon, all of Idaho over here, and some of northwest Montana as well. And this would include a lot of British British Columbia also. So anyway, yeah, ridge is going to build, then this system's going to come through and bring a nice cool down here, and then we're going to probably build a ridge behind that too. So we'll watch that as we go, and we'll watch that extended forecast as well. The GFS try to bring some precip 300 plus hours out, but yeah, we don't believe the GFS at this time frame, especially towards the end of July. Very unlikely, but that's why it's a fantasy forecast, right? So anyway, yeah, click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.